Have you noticed the Crucible looking a bit like a laser show lately? If you're wondering why, it's because Bungie finally added dedicated mods for trace rifles in Season 14. By far the most impactful of these mods is the Trace Rifle Scavenger, which gives you a tremendous amount of ammo in PvP from green special ammo bricks. A single brick gives you almost 100 trace rifle rounds, which is enough to secure at least a couple extra kills. If you manage to get 2 or more bricks, you can run around with a trace rifle like it's a primary weapon for pretty much the whole game. In this video, I want to show you the most fun trace rifle setup that I've been testing out lately on my Hunter. I'll explain how the build works first, and then show you all the armor and mods I've been using so you can put it together and give it a spin. Trace rifles are pretty interesting in PvP because they have a fast time to kill compared to most primary weapons. The main reason you didn't see them much before Season 14 was that without a scavenger mod, it was pretty difficult to maintain enough ammo to use them as a primary weapon, and they don't really serve a specific niche use like most other special weapons. Let me explain. Sniper rifles offer a one-hit kill from any distance provided you're accurate enough to land a headshot. Shotguns on the other hand can deal a one-hit kill with more forgiveness, but with the limitation that you're required to be really close range. Fusion rifles basically offer the same deal as shotguns but with additional range for longer distance kills, however they do require a charge up time before they'll fire. Then you have grenade launchers, which offer the ability to deal damage without even engaging in a direct line of sight with the enemy, and personally I think these belong in the heavy ammo slot, but that's for a different video. Trace rifles have always felt a bit out of place here because they don't offer any of these same benefits, yet they still do consume special ammo. You basically get a slightly more lethal version of an auto rifle, which means you don't have the ability to deal chunks of damage by peeking out from behind cover without sacrificing your optimal time to kill. In order to deal full damage, you'll need to be exposing yourself to danger while you're fighting, which can be a pretty scary thing to do and it'll often lead to your death. This is why I chose the Hunter Exotic Armor Wormhusk Crown for this build. Wormhusk allows you to dodge to instantly get a chunk of your health returned. This means that if you're in a duel and you win the fight, but you see another enemy that you want to engage, you can simply dodge to restore some of that health and then take on the next fight with a decent chance to win. If you catch yourself losing that initial 1v1, just dodge to get some health back and you might end up winning the engagement while your opponent's required to land some additional shots. When it comes to subclass choice, I think the most natural pairing with Wormhusk is the Bottom Tree Arcstrider Way of the Wind. As you dodge, you get damage resistance and you become harder to hit thanks to the perk Lightning Reflexes. You also get your dodge back faster while sprinting thanks to the perk Focus Breathing. This is an awesome synergy because dodging with Wormhusk and Bottom Tree Arcstrider will really help you to stay alive, and simply sprinting between engagements can help get your dodge back faster. You also have the perk Combat Meditation, which recharges your grenade and melee back faster when you're at low health. This is really cool because you can choose at the end of a fight to either dodge and get your health back quickly if you detect that there's more enemies nearby, or you can save your dodge if you feel like you have a moment to recover, and you can use that low health time to recharge your abilities faster. Your melee on this subclass gives you the perk Disorienting Blow, which can be incredibly useful for winning close quarters fights, especially if you don't have a shotgun in your loadout. As for grenades, I prefer arc bolts because you can throw one to open up the fight, and that makes your enemy a lot softer and easier to finish off, or you can deal damage with your trace rifle first and then throw a grenade if they decide to duck behind cover. Both methods are super effective. I personally go with Strafe Jump for the best aerial control while jumping, and Gambler's Dodge for that improved dodging animation and the ability to get your Disorienting Blow melee back faster by dodging your enemies. In practice, you don't need to reload a whole lot with this build, and I'll talk about that in a second. When it comes to choosing a trace rifle, you can pick whichever one you prefer, but my personal favorite has been the Prometheus Lens for a few different reasons. First of all, Prometheus creates an area of effect while firing the trace rifle thanks to the perk Prismatic Inferno. This makes winning 1v2 scenarios much easier since you can potentially be damaging both opponents at the same time. I've had so many multi-kills with this loadout where I got a great head start on the second and third enemies because of the AoE effect. You can also use this effect to damage opponents who are trying to hide behind cover. It's not a crazy amount of damage, but at times I found that enemies would dip behind cover after taking some damage, and this AoE beam could finish them off or at least keep their health low for a little bit longer. The other perk on the Prometheus Lens, Flare Refraction, returns ammo to the magazine on kill. This is so helpful when you're going for those multi-kills. If you have good tracking aim and enough reserve ammo, you can shoot for a really long time before reloading. It's pretty awesome. Another great thing about Prometheus Lens is that you can get the Exotic Catalyst, which improves stability and handling, and more importantly in my opinion, it allows you to create orbs on multi-kills just like any other mastered weapon. This is huge because we can utilize those orbs to get a damage buff, which will help us win more fights. I'll explain that part in a bit. If you'd like to try out the other trace rifles, I'd recommend both Cold Heart and Wave Splitter. I found both of these to also be great choices for the build. Wave Splitter is very forgiving and can deal some serious damage when it's ramped up to full power, and Cold Heart is just deadly if you can string together continuous critical hits and cleanly transfer that beam from target to target. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, maybe subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot, it's free to do, and you can always change your mind later. When it comes to your other weapons, you have a ton of flexibility here. Thanks to the scavenger mods, we're able to basically use your trace rifle like a primary weapon. This means that you can pick something in your kinetic slot to balance out your loadout. I would go one of two ways with this. Either pick something that will help you with extreme close range or extreme long range, since Prometheus Lens starts to experience some pretty serious damage drop off around the mid range. For your longer range options, you may want to try out either a bow or a scout rifle, since both of these consume primary ammo and do quite well at range. For closer ranges, I found that either a sidearm or an SMG worked out really well. I'd still mostly keep my trace rifle out for close quarters, but if you're running low on ammo and you haven't picked up a special brick in a while, you can use your primary weapon to get a quick kill and then earn some more special ammo. Since trace rifle scavenger mods are so generous with ammo, you can also potentially use a shotgun in your kinetic slot to pair with the trace rifle. The downside of this setup is that you'll spawn with half of the ammo in each weapon, so if you don't get a kill quickly with your initial ammo, or if a teammate grabs that green ammo brick before you manage to pick it up, you can be in a pretty rough situation. However, if you do manage to get some kills going, you have the lethality of a trace rifle for mid-range and the protection of a shotgun for close range, which is a super deadly combo. In my playtesting for this build, I found that people love to ape you with a shotgun when they see you using a trace rifle, so sometimes having your own shotgun can really throw off your opponent. For your heavy weapon, really anything goes here. You can pick a grenade launcher, rocket launcher, machine gun, or sword, whatever you like best. When it comes to the armor and mod setup, here's what I was going with. For my helmet, I was using the Wormhouse Crown with 2 trace rifle targeting mods for the extra aim assist. These seem to really help out quite a bit, especially if your tracking aim isn't the greatest. For my gloves, I was using momentum transfer to get my melee back a bit more quickly, fastball to throw grenades further and faster, and high energy fire to deal extra damage when I'm charged with light. This extra damage is really awesome for trace rifles since they have a high rate of fire. I didn't feel like I really needed a reloader mod in this setup since Prometheus reloads itself so often, but you could of course add one if you feel like you need it. For my chest, I was using unflinching trace rifle aim with powerful friends, mostly to get that plus 20 extra mobility stat. For my boots, I was using invigoration to get my melee back faster, trace rifle scavenger for the extra ammo, and radiant light for the plus 20 strength stat boost. Also important to note here, radiant light and powerful friends activate each other if you run both mods in your build. If you choose to run a shotgun here instead of a primary weapon, you may want to work a shotgun scavenger mod into your boots as well. For my cloak, I was running double bomber mods to get my grenade back faster every time I dodge, and taking charge to become charged with light every time I pick up an orb. This double bomber setup is particularly good because you'll be dodging a lot with Wormhouse Crown and the focus breathing perk, and when you land hits with your grenade, you'll get your melee back faster thanks to momentum transfer. For your stats, I would recommend prioritizing recovery first, trying to get somewhere around 90 or 100, and then go for as much mobility as you can get. Ideally 90 to 100 is best if you can swing it. After that, I would go for as much of the other stats as you can manage. My setup was 9, 3, 10, 5, 5, 7 with the armor that I had available, but ideally I'd prefer to have 100 mobility as well. Overall, I think this build offers a pretty interesting and super fun playstyle. It's probably not something that I'd break out if I'm trying to win Game 7 in Trials of Osiris, but just for fun, I had a blast using it. I can definitely see myself returning to it in the future while practicing my tracking aim, especially while I'm streaming over at twitch.tv/Pattycakes. I think trace rifles will continue to grow in popularity as more people get the mods and more people try them out, but at the highest levels of Destiny, much of the game becomes more of a poke fest where both teams are looking to get a pick off of someone with bad positioning while not exposing themselves to danger. For this reason, you'll always see high burst damage weapons like hand cannons, snipers, and shotguns near the top of the meta. Regardless, trace rifles do offer some much needed variety, and it cracked me up how many times I saw people put on a trace rifle after I melted them a few times while getting footage for the video. If you like this video, be sure to check out my recent Hunter throwing knife build using the exotic armor Athos' Embrace. It's the video on the top right of your screen and also linked in the description.